I'm finally going to explain what fascism is as an ideology and why people misunderstand it. I'm going to provide two sources. Now, if anyone wants to correct me, I'll provide me some more sources. You can in the comments. Now, two sources I'm going to use is an article on the economics and the doctrine of fascism itself, which I read a couple weeks ago. I do want to go over it again. It's just I procrastinated, to be honest. But what is it? Fascism as an ideology is collectivist like socialism and communism, but it is different in being more identitarian. And there's a statement from the doctrine of fascism. It's repeatedly said the individual is to serve the state, and the spirituality and the ethics, and then the individual freedoms are to only serve the state and come from the state. It is different from communism and socialism, as it is not internationalist, and it does not use class conflict or the labor theory of value. Now, fascism as an ideology is very misunderstood. What it said, the bundle of sticks, it advocates for a united nation under one identity and to serve the state under that one identity. That is what Mussolini repeatedly said in the doctrine of fascism. Now, how is it economically? It is very corporatist and state-controlled, but it is not socialism where it is in a planned economy. Fascism advocates for corporations to be had corporations historically in cartels, with Germany having around 200 and Italy having, I think, like 22. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, Germany required these companies be in these cartels, and Italy and Germany set the wages and the production. They set the labor. They had boards set that, and they had people from their party leading these cartels, basically. There was a market economy allowed. Private property was allowed, but it was only to serve the state. These companies were only to serve the state, and due to production being very limited due to heavy protectionism and state control, conquest was required to fuel the economy, and a lot of public works projects were put in place too as a result. Now, fascism would obviously face the economic calculation problem. Still, you cannot manage. Labor is a market in itself, and you cannot set a price of labor with a government board. That's a really bad idea, because you wouldn't have free market to do that. And the government eventually just wouldn't be able to calculate what's needed and couldn't manage all these cartels. And corruption would be the same problem. Now, fascism is a good definition, I would say, it's a collectivist ideology that advocates everything only serve the state, and it believes everything comes from the state, basically. and it's a pseudo free market is what I would call the economy. It's really just corporatism with a splash of capitalism. It's a corporatist state. It's usually a corporatist state with an ideology of you should only serve the state, and you are only to serve the state, and everything that for you comes from the state. Which it's really bad. Which that's not a good ideology, because it's a reification fallacy, because it's assuming collectives are innately real. Because collectives are not innately there. They aren't. There's a video I might later link a video from Intiswave on the collectivist fallacy in the description. It's not related to fascism, but it might give you a good idea of reification. Now, here's some examples of fucking morons getting it totally wrong. Gecko, for example, posted a Instagram reel a couple months ago accusing ICE of being Nazis. While we could argue incessantly while we could try to LARP as Hoppians and say, well, ICE is socialist, I'm not doing that bullshit, because I personally don't really like anarcho-capitalism. ICE are not Nazis. They have none of the parts of the ideology to be a fascist. They are not, they do not, I doubt a bunch of the agents believe you are only to serve the state and the government. That is a largely anti-American ideology. ICE's purpose is to not enforce a fascist ideology. Their purpose is fucking law enforcement, you morons. And just because there's a few bad actors doesn't mean you get to kill all of them. You people are unironically committing collective guilt. ICE are not Nazis, they're not the Gestapo. I might do it. The Gestapo I might do a video on. I might do one because that's another thing that needs to be explained. But ICE has none of the tenets of fascism. They're a fucking a government-funded law enforcement agency. Also, Trump is not a fascist. He is a conservative populist with spicy rhetoric. As I explained in my video, Trump also promoting total state control. Oh, hell no. Oh, fuck no. So, yeah. Fascism is not when Donald Trump. Mussolini did not say in his paper. Also, Mussolini did praise Franklin Roosevelt for his economic interventions in the 1930s, which I think were stupid. I think he should have let the free market fix the Great Depression. To me. But besides that, you don't really hear people. I don't really hear this economy being called fascist. It isn't. There's just not really any state cartels Trump has made or anything. And he still allows businesses. And he still allows a free market somewhat. It's a mixed market, but yeah. Bye, y'all.